arrive on your mat, so just come into a comfortable sitting cross-legged position. Just bring your index fingers and thumbs together, palms facing down. And just take a nice deep breath in. Retain the breath. And then a long exhalation out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, nice and deeply. Retaining the breath. And then a long exhalation out through the mouth. Just a few more breaths, breathing in through the nose. Filling up the lungs, holding the breath. Exhaling. 2 more. Lovely. So when we come to the wall, we're going to begin by having the bottom a little bit away from the wall and the skirting board, so we can do a variation of eye of needle. And then we're going to bring our bottom right up against the wall so we can do some more poses. So if you'd like to just come towards your wall so that you can pretty much have the soles of the feet flat on the wall, and your your knees are just over your hips. And then once you've got your feet making contact with the wall, we're going to bring our left ankle to rest on top of our right thigh. And again, you want the ankle about halfway between the knee and the hip. And then using your left hand, you can just gently push the knee away from you, creating some leverage using your right thigh and breathing to the hip. So as always, try and feel it in the hip. Try and think about your alignment. And just continue with that nice letting go breath, where we breathe in deeply through the nose, retain the breath, and then really force the breath out through the mouth. Really big letting go breath. Wherever you're feeling the stretch, you can use that point as your breath focus, as if you're breathing in through that area, breathing out through that area. Every pore of your skin, breathe through spires, the skin, the largest organ in the body, a barrier to the world. Breathing in, letting things in. Breathing out, letting go. So a few more breaths here. Really focusing with that long exhalation. When you're ready to release the knee, just relax hold of the knee and bring the sole of the foot onto the wall. So again, you've got your knees in line with your hips, your feet are hip width distance apart. And then you bring that right ankle. Again, you're aiming at about halfway down between the knee and the hip. And again, with the right hand, you can create some leverage by pushing the knee towards the wall. Trying to keep the right shoulder relaxed. Try not to tense up as you push. And again, just continue with that nice deep inhalation, that breath retention, and that long exhalation out through the mouth. Still trying to breathe in and out through the area of your body that you can feel being active. If you've got any discomfort in that area, just breathe into that area, smile into that area. Maybe relax it a little bit so you're not quite as intense. Just keep pushing on that knee for a few more breaths. And again, you can gently release your hand, bring the foot back onto the wall. Maybe give the knees a little hug. Because now what we want to do is, once you've given your knees a hug, is try and slide your bottom right up against the wall. So you're really close to the wall. So sometimes it's easier to come in sideways and then swivel round so that you've got your sitting bones right up against the wall. And we'll just start with the legs nice and straight. So the beauty of this pose with the legs up against the wall is that the legs are higher than the heart, and it allows the blood to flow back to the heart without having to fight gravity, which allows the heart to rest. Takes away that pressure, can help lower your blood pressure so the heart hasn't got to pump as hard. So what we're going to do is bring the soles of the feet together and bring the heels as close to your groin as you can bring them. So you might want to use your hands to help bring them down. So it's almost like butterfly. And just have your arms resting by your sides to begin with, nice and relaxed. Just breathing again into the butterfly pose. And now we can bring the breath so that all three parts are balanced, if you can. And we can have the exhalation now coming out through the nose. So with some conscious effort, you can feel yourself pushing your knees towards the wall, but keeping the soles of the feet together. And again, if you want to, you can put your hands onto your thighs and knees and just give them some gentle encouragement. So with all three parts of the breath, the same length of time, balance, creating that balancing, resonating harmony in the body. Knees pushing towards the wall, whether you're just consciously pushing them or with your hands just giving them some gentle encouragement. Notice how you can draw Mula Bandha up in this position. You can become more aware of the pelvic floor muscles, the perineum, and really contract the perineum that sits in front of the tailbone. That diamond-shaped hammock of muscle. And now just release the knees so you're not pushing on the knees. And now just slide the feet a little bit higher up the wall. So you're about halfway between the legs being straight and bent. And we still want to try and keep the soles of the feet together. So it's almost like when you're doing turtle pose and you have the heels just away from you so that there's room to come forwards as well as down. And just hold this for that last minute. Again, just feel your shoulders relax. So you're not holding tension anywhere that isn't necessary. The wall is supporting you, allowing the body to relax. Micro corrections and movements can happen. The plastic tissue, the ligaments, the tendons can release. And then gently again, slide the legs nice and straight up against the wall. So now we're going to open the legs nice and wide apart. And if there's two of you sharing a wall, then it's okay to cross your ankles one over the other person's legs. Keep your feet against the wall, obviously, so that the wall is supporting you. And just let your feet open up and stretch the legs out as wide as you can. Trying to keep the legs and the backs of the knees open and straight. Remember, we're going to hold it for about 4 minutes. So you want to start off gently rather than go to your maximum edge to begin with. So you've got room to journey slowly with time, with the breath. Opening out the legs nice and wide. That balanced breath. Started watching David Attenborough's Extinction program last night. I could only watch about half of it. I found it too upsetting to see all those species that are becoming extinct. Reminded me of something Gandhi said, which I believe he took from the Upanishads. Gandhi said, there is enough in the world for everybody's needs, but not for everyone's greed. And in the Upanishads, where I think he took that idea from, it says, abundance is scooped from abundance, yet abundance remains. Made me think about all the things we buy and consume that just sit there on a shelf at the back of a cupboard, clothes that just hang in a wardrobe and never get worn. All of those things that come out of the earth. So again, a few more breaths. And gently slide your legs back together. Just pause here for a couple of breaths. So we're going to come into a supported shoulder stand using the wall. So even though you can have your feet on the wall, I still recommend having your hands underneath your lower back and the top of your hips so that you've got plenty of support, and you can still bring your shoulders a little bit higher towards your ears for that extra support in the shoulders as well. So I'll talk you through it. We've got our bottoms still nice and close to the wall. We can bend our knees now a little bit so that the feet are flat on the wall. And then tuck the chin into the throat to protect the neck as always. And exhale and roll your hips up off the floor. Bring your hands underneath your lower back. And then if you can, stretch the legs out so the heels are on the wall. Might give you a little bit more room to push those hips towards your chin. It might be that you need to have the feet flat on the wall so that you've got a little bit more support. But just find what feels good to you. So you've got your heels on the wall or the soles of the feet on the wall. You've got your hands under your back, just as you would in a shoulder stand. Again, you can contract Mula Bandha, see how much easier it is in an inverted pose to contract the perineum, pelvic floor muscles. And now what I'd like you to do is bring one leg off the wall and just stretch it out behind your head. Just feel it nice and straight, the back of the knee open, and just breathe there. So we're going to try and hold this for a minute, but if that's too long for you, then just bring the foot back onto the wall and swap legs. But we're going to aim for about a minute. Should feel a nice scissor-like stretch through the groin. And still be aware of the perineum contracting. The wall giving you enough support with the help of your hands so that you're comfortable. Again, a couple more breaths. And then gently bring that leg back onto the wall. And then again, gently swapping legs. Bringing the other leg out. You can have the leg straight, the back of the knee open. But if you need to have a little bend in the leg, that's okay too. Whatever feels right and organically correct to you. This is about listening to your body and complete body awareness. Just keeping the chin tucked into the throat. So again, take a couple more breaths here. And then the final option is keeping your hands underneath your lower back, keeping your chin tucked in, shoulders are closer to the ears. You can either bring the other leg off the wall so that you're just in something that's kind of halfway between a shoulder stand, halfway between a plat. You're not trying to bring your feet down behind your head. You're just letting your legs hang in the air. Or if you want to, for that last minute, just bring both feet onto the wall and hold the pose completely supported by your hands and the wall. Again, just listen to your body. Try and again have the legs out nice and straight. Lengthen through those hamstrings. Notice how the breath is very abdominal here because the lungs are kind of closed off. You don't get so much movement in the rib cage, so the abdominal area takes over a little bit. Again, just a couple more breaths. When you need to bring your feet back onto the wall, gently bring your feet onto the wall. Gently lower the bottom back down. Again, just rest with the legs stretching straight up. Just lift your feet off the wall slightly so you can rotate your ankles a few times in each direction. Create some gentle movement in the ankles. Flex the toes away from you. And then push the heels to the ceiling. A couple of times, good toes, naughty toes. And then gently lower your legs back down to the floor. So we want to come back onto our mats, and we're going to stay in a lying down position. We're going to do Matsyasana, the fish pose, which is the counter stretch to the shoulder stand and the plow. So just coming to a comfortable lying position. So you can bring your knees up slightly just so that you can basically lift your bottom up so you can slide the whole length of your arms underneath you. And when I say the whole length, you really try and get those elbows under you to get the arms straight. You can have one palm on top of the back of the other hand. You bring your bottom down onto the backs of your hands and your wrists, and then you stretch your legs out. And then using your upper body and your elbows, you breathe in, get that high lift in the chest. Let your head rock back. Let the crown of your head just skim off the floor. So there's no weight going through your neck or the head. Your upper body, your chest is supporting you. So we want to hold this for about 4 minutes, but I know that's going to be quite challenging. So what I suggest is you hold it, come down when you need to, have a little rest, and then lift yourself back up. So I'll let you know when about 4 minutes is up, but I just want you to hold it for as long as you can, challenging yourself, but without, really straining. Have a rest when you need to, and then come back up into the pose so that you're really opening up this upper thoracic part of your body, opening up the heart center. Working with your body. So as we're opening up the heart chakra here, the throat chakra, you can open your mouth really wide as if you're yawning, and then clench your teeth together to feel that stretch through the heart, through the throat chakra. I was reading the Upanishads, which is one of the earliest spiritual texts from India, yesterday. The heart, we often think of the heart as the heart that desires things. And this is what I read about the heart, or about desire, I should say. You are what your deepest driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. I'll read that again. You are what your deepest driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. So for that last minute, as you open up your heart, think about what is it that you woke up desiring today. Maybe you just desired enjoying the sunshine. Maybe you desired something more materialistic. And if you did, maybe just have an extra think about whether you really need that item. And again, gently Relax your chest back down. Again, give your knees a gentle hug. So we're going to come into a nice spinal twist. So we're going to take the arms out to the sides, keep the chin tucked into the throat, lift the knees so that they're at 90 degrees, thighs to calves. And then as you exhale, take the legs all the way over to the left. Let your feet rest on the floor, even if your knees don't quite make it to the floor yet. But make sure that that right shoulder is anchored. You're aiming at having your ankles kind of in line with your knees so that your heels aren't too close to your bottom. If you find that your knees don't rest one on top of the other, it might be that you just want to put a cushion or a block between the knees to give them some support. It might be that you want a cushion underneath your feet or your knees. Just try and find some comfort in this shape, keeping that shoulder anchored. You can turn your head to look at that right palm that's facing up. And it may be that with time you can slide the right arm a little bit higher up, making that angle between the arm and the body greater, bringing in a little bit of shoulder flexibility as well. But the main thing is feeling that twist in the waistline, keeping Uddiyana Bandha pulled back to protect the lower back and activate the core. And again, maximizing the breath in this shape that challenges the rib cage. So trying to stick with that 3-part breath, maybe even beginning now to think about that 4th part where we just pause before breathing back in. Just holding that twist, working with your breath. So all of these writings that I'm speaking of today are from the Upanishads. You are not the mind any more than you are the physical body. Been talking a lot about that in our Monday meditation classes. You are not the mind any more than you are the physical body. So if you can, just slide your knees along the floor towards your chest as if you were going to hug your knees to your chest. And then if you've got room, see if you can maybe stretch your legs out into more of an L shape, creating that big 90-degree angle, just stretching out the legs. It might be that you need to bring that arm that you had higher up back to shoulder height for this. And it might be that you can reach out with the left hand to hold the right foot. Again, keeping your Uddiyana Bandha engaged, listening to your body, doing what organically feels right to you. The self is everywhere. Right is the self, invisible, untouched by sin, wise, immanent, and transcendent. He, she, it is who holds the cosmos together. The self is everywhere. Bright is the self, invisible, untouched by sin, wise, immanent, and transcendent. He, she, it is who holds the cosmos together. So again, see if you can just take a few more breaths here. Your legs are straight. See if you can just bring them a little bit higher up. Straighten them out just that little bit more for those last few breaths. Just find that edge. You want to just gently bend the knees again before breathing in to bring them back up. Again, if you need to give them a little hug, just give them a little hug, realigning. And again, finding those 90-degree angles, keeping the chin tucked into the throat so that you can gently bring the knees over to the right. Again, if you need to rest your feet on a cushion or rest your knees on a cushion or have a cushion, a block in between your knees, whatever it takes to make it comfortable. Remember, you're not using your body to get into yoga poses. You're using the poses to get into your body. So again, keep that left shoulder as your anchor point. Try and turn the head so the twist is going all the way up the spine. Think about the breath resonating in the rib cage. As you hold the breath, it increases the pose. We're trying to have the ankles in line with the knees, so we've got those 90-degree angles to the best of our ability. Again, if you can, with time, you might slide your left arm further up, just opening up that angle slightly, creating some movement in the shoulder. Staying aware of the breath. The Supreme Self is neither born nor dies. He, she cannot be burned, moved, pierced, cut, nor dried, nor tainted. Beyond all attributes, the Supreme Self is the eternal witness, ever pure, invisible, uncompounded, far beyond the senses and the ego. In him, she, conflicts and expectations cease. He is, she is omnipresent, beyond all thought, without action in the external world, detached from the outer and the inner. The Supreme Self purifies the impure. Again, if you can, slide the knees a little bit closer to the chest. And if you've got space, stretch out the legs into that big L shape. lengthening out the legs. So we're in this nice big L shape. Again, if you can hold your left foot with your right hand, feel it on the sacroiliac joint, the lower back. Trying to be aware of all four parts of your breath. The Supreme Self is neither born nor dies. He, she cannot be burned, moved, pierced, cut, dried, or tainted. Beyond all attributes, the Supreme Self is the eternal witness, ever pure, invisible, uncompounded, far beyond the senses and the ego. In him, she, conflicts and expectations cease. He, she is omnipresent, beyond all thought, without action in the external world, detached from the outer and the inner. The Supreme Self purifies the impure. So again, just take a couple more breaths. Again, bend your knees gently. Draw them back up in your own time. Again, give them that gentle hug. And then roll back up to sitting. Lovely. So we're going to do a little quad stretch, and this is going to bring in a little lower back bend as well. So we're going to bring the left foot round next to the left hip, but have your knees slightly, or your legs slightly apart. Okay, so we're not aiming at having them close together today, we want them slightly apart. And then, as always, just journey back on the hands, listen to your body, keep the chest open, keep the heart open, come down onto your elbows when you feel comfortable to. And if you can access the full pose, you can lay all the way down, bringing your palms together, symbolizing that left and right side of the brain in balance, in harmony. Just gently opening up the quadriceps, the thigh, feeling that gentle bend in the lower back. Notice how it feels when you draw Uddiyana Bandha back. Really draw that navel down towards your spine. So it's really activating that deep psoas muscle that crosses from the diaphragm and the spine through the pelvic floor to attach to the top of the femur. The only muscle to cross the pelvic floor. So to hold on to emotions. You can lengthen through the arms if you're lying down. Keep the chest open if you're on your elbows or your hands. Remember, just a folded blanket underneath your ankle next to your hip can make all the difference in the comfort of this pose and being able to access it. So again, just take a few more breaths here. See if you can sink into it for those last couple of breaths. Always use your elbows and your hands to roll yourself back up so you're not straining. Unfold the leg and then gently swap. So again, try and keep the legs slightly apart. Again, if you need a blanket folded up underneath your ankle, it makes all the difference. Listen to your body. Just going to mute everyone's mics. Trying to come down gently and controlled onto your elbows when you feel ready. Listening to your body. You feel you can lay down, and again stretch those arms out, palms together. Again, really feeling yourself pulling that navel down towards your spine. Feeling the navel coming center. Sometimes our navels come out of alignment due to surgery, hernias. Drawing the navel back can help realign the navel. This is working the stomach and the spleen energy. Connected deeply to the solar plexus chakra at the navel. Seat of digestion and transformation. That inner fire burns, that purifies us, burns away the drifts to leave the pure. It's like the last line of the text I read, the Supreme Self purifies the impure. Yoga is all about burning away the desires, the ego, to just leave the pure self beyond mind and thought. The self observes the thoughts that we have, the actions that we do. You're thinking about the self and who's doing the thinking. So again, just a few more breaths here. Seeing if you can just rest that little bit deeper for those last few breaths. Again, when you want to come up, use your elbows, use your hands. Don't strain your core. Come back up. Gently come into a comfortable Sukhanasana position. So any comfortable sitting position of your choice, by all means use a cushion, a pillow to sit on. So we're just going to finish with a nice shoulder stretch. We haven't done too much on the shoulders, and again it opens up that heart center. We talked about desire. So bring that left arm up and down behind the head. Bring that right hand round and up. So don't strain the neck. As soon as you look down to try and get that extra couple of inches, you're losing the integrity of the pose. Keep everything open, keep the neck long, keep the jaw relaxed. Don't strain. Don't strain at all. Just feel the armpits open. You can even use that hand to support it. The other hand's behind your back. Just bring it up. But don't strain. Just hold it gently. The fact that we're going to hold it for a couple of minutes or more will take it deeper and deeper on its own. So again, just close your eyes. Breathe into your heart center. I worked on the Channel Tunnel connection at Waterloo. My job was to push a broom through the tunnels, sweeping up. And I worked with a load of Irish guys. And one of them always used to say, what the eye sees, the heart needs. Just think about your heart center. Again, think about the desires that you have. You are what your deepest driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. As your desire match the deeds you want to have and the actions you want. As your desire meet the destiny that you desire. Are your desires in line with your core beliefs? Take a few more breaths here. Unravel when you're ready. Again, try not to strain, just bring the hand up and drop it down behind your head. Wherever it lands is fine. Bring the other arm up. Again, don't force it. Try and be open, relax. If you're straining, then the muscles are strained and they're tense, and those little micro corrections and movements can't happen. And just be soft and relaxed, allowing our body to just make those subtle movements, subtle corrections. As we bring our awareness to the heart chakra, and the colour is green. Seat to unconditional love and compassion. Breathing into the heart, maybe imagining that beautiful green spiraling light, spiraling into your heart chakra, calming the mind and the Shen. And again, just a few more breaths. When you want to unfold, stretch up as if you're yawning. And then exhale and just come forwards. Let your hands, your forearms, your head drop to the floor. If your head doesn't reach the floor and you need some support, rest it on the fist or a fist on top of the fist. Just hanging down. Back passive and opening, giving. The front active, drawing you deeper. And then gently rolling back up. And again, we're just going to gently come down onto our elbows, onto our back. We can release the legs and come into our Shavasana. And just rest in Shavasana for a minute to allow the nervous system to reset, reboot. You are not the mind any more than you are the physical body. So as you rest there for a minute, just watch your thoughts as if you're an observer. Just watch your thoughts. Don't attach to them. Don't judge them. Don't think about them. Just notice them. If you're observing yourself thinking. Being aware of that supreme consciousness that rests behind the ego and the thought. That rests behind the desire. Beyond the senses. And in your own time, giving the knees a hug. Giving